is 5th of February 2023. I want to welcome you to this very show, the business edition on Smart 24 TV, where we look at the stories that make the headlines in our weekly bulletin. That's the business edition. Among the stories we're going to look at is the Deputy Speaker of Parliament admitting to have taken part of the iron sheets that are meant for Karamoja people. And more of the stories will be coming up on your way. My name is Pedison Mumbere. A lot have been said about these controversial iron sheets from the Prime Minister's office that are meant to go to Karamoja. However, I saw the Kira municipality's MP, Semuji Unganda, saying that the Speaker should suspend the Parliament to allow for further investigation, which was later be rejected by the Speaker of Parliament over there. But let's see what will be coming out, because, of course, investigations are going on, and see who was wrong, who was supposed to do what, and when. That's what is happening.
As the investigations into the mismanagement of relief items meant for the Karamoja region gets to day 2, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, has cleared her name in the matter of the iron sheets. The Speaker says she did not ask for the iron sheets for her district, but when she saw them, she ordered that they be given to government schools.
I saw iron sheets in Bukedea. I did not ask for them, but I ordered that they should be given to schools. Innocently. I did not open a shop, sell them, but they were given to schools, government schools.
The Speaker also adds that the Committee of Presidential Affairs was allocated 2 weeks to investigate this matter and bring a clear report on why there was a diversionary of these relief items, and that everybody should carry their own cross in this matter.
Let's not go on diversionary. The member or the minister who is responsible for Karamoja is there. If there was any diversion, it is not anybody's fault. So I don't want other ministers to be pulled into what they are not concerned. Let everybody carry his own cross. Let's wait for a report to come back from the committee, and this House will take a decision.
The Member of Parliament of Kira Municipality, Honorable Semuji Unganda, has requested that Speaker take Parliament into another 2 weeks recess as they await the report on this matter, because most of the ministers are implicated and others have decided not to show up in Parliament.
The whole cabinet from Prime Minister involved in that crime of disappearing iron sheets for Karamoja. That government cannot come here and speak. Maybe, Madam Speaker, my suggestion, you suspend Parliament for 2 weeks. When that report comes and we deal with that problem of industrial scale, then we can, because I imagine, will the Prime Minister stand there or the deputies, and they want to address Parliament? Madam Speaker, I want to implore you, we will not die if you suspended Parliament for 2 weeks. And the first business of this Parliament is discussing the theft and disappearing of iron sheets and goats for Karamoja.
On the other hand, the mayors from the Karamoja region have put the blame on government for exhibiting laxity in the issues of Karamoja for a long time. According to these, issues of cattle rustling, hunger, among others, are the order of the day in this region, and yet the people meant to protect their interests are now stealing from them.
In interest, from the beginning, we cannot be here discussing issues of people have stolen iron sheets, people have taken our goods. Were we born to be mandated to be given goods by government? No. We are mandated to be protected by government so that our people, their livelihood is protected. And as a result, I want this committee to wake up and inform the president. I think somebody is deceiving the head of state that the research in Karamoja is normal. Every day, raids are like meals in Karamoja. If you don't eat today, you will eat tomorrow. Death is happening in Karamoja. If you don't die now, you die tomorrow.
The Committee of Presidential Affairs has only 2 weeks to complete the investigations of the Karamoja saga and report back with a conclusive report on this matter. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV.
Yeah, those have been the issues happening over there when it comes to the iron sheets that are meant to go to Karamoja to go and save those people who are dying of hunger and very many problems there. Of course, very many ministers have accepted to have taken all these iron sheets, but investigations are being going on right now. Now, let's rush to the National Social Security Fund, where the Minister for Gender and Social Security Development, Betty Among, has been directed to leave office or to resign because of abuse of office. This comes at a time when she ordered for availing of 6 billion from the fund to her office without any law that is empowering her. Let's have a look at this very story.
The chairperson for the Select Committee, Honorable Mwini Mpaka, started by giving the findings of the investigations into the mismanagement of the NSSF fund, which singled out the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development as the biggest offender in this whole saga.
The actions of the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Honorable Betty Amongi Ongom, in directing 6 billion to be availed to her ministry amounts to the abuse of office, since the Minister, being the supervisor of NSF without any law empowering her to do so, and knowing that the ministry activities are financed through appropriation, did an act which is prejudicial to the savers' funds and the just administration of the NSSF. The actions of the minister are arbitrary and an abuse of office of the duty under the NSSF Act, thereby bringing her conduct within the ambit of the prohibition under Section 11 of the Anti-Corruption Act on abuse of office.
According to Honorable Mwini Mpaka, Minister Amongi abused her power when she allocated 6 billion shillings from the fund to do activities of the Ministry of Gender, yet the Parliament appropriates money for each ministry, and hence the committee recommended that the minister in question resigns in public interest.
The committee therefore recommends that the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Honorable Betty Amongi Ongom, resigns in public interest with immediate effect. We further recommend that the President should take keen interest in the Minister's conduct above.
The same report has also implicated the former manager for NSSF, Richard Byarugaba, and the acting manager, Patrick Ayota, for allocating 1.8 billion shillings for the social corporate responsibility, and recommended that this should step aside for immediate prosecution.
To make donations as an investment for stakeholders, the committee notes that their justification of succumbing to pressure to commit an illegality is no defense in criminal liability. The committee therefore recommends that the NSSF management that participated in the initiation of this 1.8 billion budget for donations, much as they did not participate in the final approval, Mr. Richard Byarugaba, the Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Patrick Ayota, the CFO, Mr. Stevens Mwanje, Head of Marketing and Corporate Affairs, Ms. Barbara Arimi Teddy, should step aside with immediate effect for investigations by the Office of the IGG for the offenses of abuse of office, corruption, conspiracy to commit a felony, with a view of immediate prosecution.
Speaker of Parliament Anita Mung has pushed the debate for this report to tomorrow afternoon. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV.
Yeah, this is the Select Committee that is supposed to investigate all the mismanagement of funds and corruption from the National Social Security Fund. And according to them, they ordered for the resignation of the Minister of Gender and Social Development of Uganda, Betty Amongi, for what they called the abuse of office. And that's when she even ordered for the 6 billion from the fund and go to her ministry without any law that is supporting her. So that's what is happening over there. Now, over the weekend, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, traveled to South Africa for Uganda-South Africa Business Summit over there, and trying to harness the trade relationship between the two countries. Of course, we're expecting a lot of letters of intent that will be coming up over there. The President had to visit President Ramaphosa of South Africa, and some of the business community traveled over there, trying to expand the market base of the Ugandan products. Let's have a look at this very story.
The second day of the summit witnessed the two heads of state sign a memorandum of understanding in industry, tourism, transport and ICT. While addressing delegates of the second day, President Ramaphosa urged President Museveni to help them overcome the challenge of electricity blackouts, which has hindered industrial production. South Africa has been experiencing inconsistencies in their power supply, and President Ramaphosa believes that his partnership with Uganda would help overcome their problem following the memorandum of understanding that was signed by both heads of state.
His Excellency President Museveni, to convey to him that South Africa remains keen on investing in Uganda, and particularly in a number of sectors in banking, retail, telecommunications. We hope that Ugandan businesses will also find their way in investing in South Africa for the mutual benefit of our two countries. As we speak now, the business leaders from both South Africa and Uganda are involved in a business forum, which both of us will visit later and address as well.
His Excellency Ramaphosa called upon delegates to practice Pan-Africanism, which will enable continuity in the cooperation, thereby causing development.
To resolve the issues that impede economic growth and development between our two countries, and we've agreed that our two trade ministers will need to be engaged to put in place a mechanism that will ensure matters such as the protection of investment in our respective countries.
President Ramaphosa also urged the participants to tap into the various investment opportunities in agriculture, tourism, oil and gas, healthcare, transport and logistics that will act as a key driver in enhancing development in the two countries. In his speech, President Museveni pledged to address the issue of value addition in agriculture and education so as to boost exports through the concept of Pan-Africanism.
Our understanding of prosperity comes from two lines. Line one, education for all. And I want to congratulate ANC. I'm told that you are educating all these South Africans, giving them a modern education. In Uganda, they are trying, but the greed overcomes them. They go back to charge money for the poor people. Then I fight. So we are still fighting for, we call it UPE, Universal Primary Education, Universal Secondary Education. It's not fully implemented. So that's one line. You wake up people through education. But the second line is you produce goods and services and you sell them. Now, the moment you know that in order to be prosperous, one line is education, but the other line is producing a good or a service and selling it. Then the next question is, who will buy your good or your service? In Uganda, they thought they were believing in tribalism, in religious sectarianism, and we were laughing at them. So, but what you are believing in is a hoax. But they were believing that because they were asleep. They didn't know how to get prosperity. Now, when they woke up a bit and they started producing goods and services, they found that they needed the Uganda market, 44 million people. But soon they found that the Uganda market is not even enough. They needed the East African market, they needed the African market.
He also promised to promote manufacturing in the country. Samuel Chirumunda compiled this story.
Yeah, that's the president of Uganda over there in South Africa, trying to harness the relationship, the trade relationship between the two countries and expanding the market base of Ugandan products and South African products, of course. Of course, remember, Uganda's product is producing a lot of products that are put on market. But in Uganda, there is no bigger market that can consume all these products that we are producing from here. That's why the president had to travel different countries in Southern Sudan, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and this time he had to go to South Africa to look for the market. That's a very good initiative if we can continue like that. Now, getting to another story here, the Uganda National Climate Forum has convened over the weekend to reflect on the outcomes of the COP26. Remember, COP26 convened every year to address issues concerning with climate change. Now, what they discussed was the climate financing. Climate financing simply means that the more developed countries would always give money to the low developed countries to address the issues of climate change. However, this money that is supposed to be coming to this poor country has not been coming, and this money is equivalent to $100 billion coming from this country to come to poor countries like Uganda to address issues of climate change. Now, this is what has been discussed, and let us see all what happened over there at the Ministry of Water and Environment. What was agreed at COP26 was on climate finance, where richer nations agreed to provide $100 billion per year to help fund emissions reduction in poor nations by 2023. However, the biggest source of tension at COP27 was the failure of developed countries to keep their promises. According to Sam Cheptoris, the Minister of Water and Environment, their hands are tied up due to lack of funds to mitigate the effects of climate change until developed countries come to their rescue.
So we cannot do much unless the developed world fulfills that pledge of $100 billion per year.
The Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, the first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Affairs, says that they were able to convince the government to restore the National Environmental Fund that had diminished as a starting point while they are waiting for the developed countries to fulfill their promises.
Able to convince government to reinstate the National Environment Fund. You know, it had been taken away, but you're going to reinstate it. We think that it will help us, it will help this ministry to have something to start with. Because as we wait for the Loss and Damage Fund, we should be able to do something for ourselves.
Financing is not only about somebody giving more money, it's also about, even here where we have banks, for example, can we negotiate with the banks when we have a project that is promoting climate change? Can you get a very reduced interest rate, for example? That is a financing instrument we can look into. And so there are different ways of looking at some of these things. But beyond financing, I think what is important is that sometimes you can have the money, but what is important is that what are we doing ourselves? Whilst climate change is of a global nature, the impacts are local as well. So how we also organize ourselves locally, how we work with local communities to make sure we prepare them for the impacts of climate change also becomes important.
Margaret Athieno Mwebesa, the Commissioner of Climate Change at the Ministry of Water and Environment, stated at the Uganda National Climate Forum, which convened to reflect the COP27 outcomes intended to address the impacts of climate change, that while at COP27, they finalized on supporting carbon trading as a way of reducing emissions.
Carbon trading is one of the ways that the countries can cooperate to reduce on their emissions. So it is a very important area, and for us as a country, we are taking it very seriously. And we should all know that carbon credits are actually tradable. It is actually money that we can do, if we do it well, can bring a lot of revenue to the country.
Because carbon pricing is very important, and because you produce carbon at a cost. You don't just say my trees are there. Somebody made efforts to make sure that those trees are there, and therefore how do you make sure that you get the right pricing for the investment that you have made?
Officials from Uganda who attended COP27 revealed that they emphasized the need to have climate finance delivered to poor countries as grants, not as loans. Success at COP27 ultimately rests on the ability to get money flowing from the wealthy countries to those most in need at the pace and scale required to match the climate crisis. You see, we had the Ugandan officials who traveled to Egypt in the COP26 to discuss issues of climate financing. And then those Ugandan diplomats had to come over here in Uganda over the weekend and reflect on the outcomes of the COP26 over there. But the biggest problem was about climate financing. Even the countries that promised to be giving $100 billion to the poor developed countries has not yet reached these promises, something that is still making our more developed countries lagging behind in as far as fighting or mitigating climate change is concerned. I saw the Minister for Water and Environment, Sam Cheptoris, lamenting over there that their hands are tied up not until this money is here in the country or not until this money is being given to the low developed countries in Africa. Now getting to another story here, we are going to speak tax misery to small and medium enterprises. Our reporter Bronia Katsimi had to meet up with the business communities around in Uganda, trying to see if these people are aware of the taxes that they always pay. Remember, have different taxes that business people are paying. But to our surprise, very many people in business, especially here in Kampala, don't know even the type of taxes they are paying. Bronia Katsimi was on top of this very story. Let us have a look at what she had to compile for us.
Uganda has one of the fastest growing economies in East Africa, but its tax structure remains a mystery to many small and medium-sized businesses. Since the taxes are a crucial source of funding for the government, this ignorance is a serious obstacle to the economic growth of the nation. This may result in a failure to comply with tax regulations, which could incur costly penalties, yet the main reason is just ignorance.
There are a series of taxes that are misunderstood by our taxpayers. First of all, our taxpayers cannot differentiate between the different so many taxes. We have VAT, we have income tax, we have import duty, we have infrastructure levy, we have excise duty, stamp duty. There are so many. But it all depends on how we know the taxes. So given the background that our taxpayers are ignorant about taxes.
There's nothing more difficult than asking someone to pay for something they don't understand, since they always feel deceived. Businesses are required to pay a variety of taxes, including income tax, value-added tax, withholding tax, and local service taxes, among others. But the majority of taxpayers are unaware of the significance of these taxes or the necessity to pay them. For instance, for Uganda to tap the informal sector, more focus is required on raising awareness of the value of taxes.
Let me start with the withholding tax. I honestly don't understand, and I don't know how it helps me, but I usually see it on my receipt.
It should be remembered that the government, however, has made attempts to educate the public about taxes. For example, the Uganda Revenue Authority has several projects to educate residents about the importance of taxes and how they are used to support public services, such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure development.
But has tried it. I would also want to thank them. They've tried to have much tax education, much as it, they've improved a little, but we would want them to, to add up and probably get to taxes, tax explanations, understanding are on people's, fingertips. You understand? But they've tried their level best. I would also want to thank them for the relations. They've probably created some good relations. Gone are the days of this, hard, harsh UR officers. I think there is some kind of, trainings that they are going on, probably creating some kind of value to their people, and the handling is not all that bad.
To guarantee that every citizen is aware of the advantages of the tax system, more work needs to be done. Tax experts have also advised URA to add more tax agents in various locations of the country in order to broaden training across the country and assist break the perception of tax as a burden.
What I think, by empowering more tax agents, training them, skilling them, there will be adding on their manpower, such that in absence of URA, tax agents can play that part. They can teach taxpayers. Another thing I think what URA can do, they should come closer to our traders downtown.
The difficult tax system, coupled with lack of education, has led to difficult situations where many people are paying taxes without knowing what they are paying for. To achieve sustainable economic development, it is crucial that the citizens understand the importance of paying taxes and how they contribute to the country's development. Bronia Katsime, Smart 24 TV.
See, we have always engaged with the Uganda Revenue Authority, trying to tell them that there is a need for a lot of sensitization. These people should know the type of taxes they're supposed to pay, when are they supposed to pay, and bring them to the lab or giving them the appetite. These business people should be given an appetite to not even forcing them to pay taxes. So bigger sensitization is really needed over this. Thank you, Katsima, for that very story that you compiled for us. And that being said, we'll be going in for one commercial break, and when I come back, more of the stories will be coming up on your way. This is the business edition. My name is Pedison Mumbele.